Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Newsviews. I'm Judy Sue. Their families may have limited economic means, but an organization called High Jump works to give hundreds of Chicago middle school students an unlimited future. They're motivated students who are doing well academically, but one alum says the two-year program, quote, put opportunities in my line of sight that I didn't even know existed. It helps students strengthen their math, reading, and writing skills, along with developing critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Joining me to talk more about High Jump and the need for this kind of program are the Executive Director, Lee Hart, and High Jump alum, Philip Nevels. He is now, by the way, a board member as well as the Managing Director of Next Gen Venture Partners. Good morning.
Good morning,
Thank you for
Judy.
joining us.
Good morning,
Thank you.
Judy.
I have been reading so much about this program. Let's dive right in and tell everybody more about High Jump. What is the mission of this program?
High Jump's mission is to, you put it so well, to search out, find students who are hungry for learning, who are in the middle grades, and help them prepare to succeed and gain access to rigorous college prep high schools, because we know that's a springboard to future opportunities.
And clearly, you saw a need in bridging that gap?
Yes, a couple things that the founders of High Jump knew at their core that's been proven over time through research is how important the middle grades are. Both because that's a time in life when students' brains are really firing, they're really just on fire with things they want to do and learn. And it's such a critical time to help them see what's possible and then make a plan for how they're going to achieve their dreams.
Now, Phil, you
Yes.
are an alum, so you went through the program.
I did, yes.
Tell everybody first, though, what are you doing now? What line of work did you decide to go into?
Yep, so I work for a venture capital firm based out of DC. We make investments in really early stage tech companies.
So take us back a little bit.
Sure.
So you are part of this program. A lot of it. What is that experience like going through High Jump?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So there's a component that happens during the school year where you're actually going into High Jump during Saturday and taking classes in reading, writing, math, etc. That was at the Latin school. When I started, we were only on one campus. We were on the Latin campus. But then it continues through the summer. We're actually going regularly through the summer, taking classes, meeting with students, getting ready for high school. So, you know, High Jump does a great job of doing career fairs, high school fairs, et cetera, to expose you to some of the opportunities you have waiting for you after grade school.
And you touched on it. This is pretty intense. This is in addition to their regular schoolwork, right? These kids are still going to school, their regular homework, but this is summertime, weekends, you're participating. Right. What did it do for you that you think otherwise you may not have benefited from?
Right. I mean, High Jump was fantastic for me. Like you said earlier, it exposed me to opportunities that I didn't even know existed. One story I like to tell, Jack Curdy, the executive director at the time, one day he came to me, he'd said, "Have you ever thought of boarding school?" I didn't know what boarding school was. But long story short, he put my mom and I in a van, drove us to Culver, which is about 2 hours outside of Chicago, took us on a tour of the campus. Then I ended up going to Culver Academy, a boarding school. Most people don't even know about boarding school at a high school level. So High Jump did an excellent job of just exposing me to these different opportunities. But then through the academic enrichment piece, it's really providing you the tools to be able to take advantage of these opportunities when you get in a position to do that.
A fantastic program. Lee, talk about how people can get involved. What kind of students are you pulling from?
Well, we're searching citywide, all across the city, every different neighborhood, every zip code, throughout the schools, and trying to find what sixth graders do you have who are looking for a challenge and are hungry for learning and who are doing well in school right now. Please send us those. Help us find them. Help them apply. So we're doing direct outreach to students, and then CPS has been great in helping us send out some mailings. So in case we miss your school, we're able to find you at your home and invite you to apply. And it is targeted on students whose families have limited financial resources. And I think that's part of what we see is that families are also so excited that someone else is seeing that their child is bright and needs a challenge, and we find it's really trajectory changing, not just for the child, but for their families as well. So, well, I would say naturally in that I think every child has a hunger to learn and inquisitiveness, and these students that we're looking for are doing that at a really high level, but a lot of times they're outliers within their schools. One of the things that students and alums tell us, like to a person, is how much they love finding other students who had a hunger for learning, a passion for learning, and they were like, "Oh, my people, I have found you," and that just helped them build relationships
Yeah, absolutely.
that carried further during their lives.
And we have so much more to talk about. We're going to take a quick break right here. We'll be back with more of our discussion about high jump after this. Welcome back to Newsviews, everybody. My guests this morning are Lee Hart, the Executive Director of High Jump, an academic enrichment program for high-performing students who come from families with limited economic means. Also, Philip Nevels, a High Jump alum and board member right now. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us once again. Let's continue our discussion about High Jump. How many kids can get involved every year?
We serve 360 current students in 7th and 8th grade. So every year we're looking for 180 students. We've grown a lot over the last 4 years. So, when I started and sort of when Phil started to get back involved, we were only able to bring in about 60. So we've grown in the number of students we can serve, nearly triple. But there are also 2 to 3 times that number of applications that we receive of students that we just can't serve because we don't have the room.
I imagine that's got to be one of the hardest parts, is having to say no to some of the students who apply.
Right, absolutely. I think, one of the things we think about from a board perspective and a high jump perspective is how do we grow? And how do we continue to serve the students that we're serving now in the way that we're serving them? And that may change as you grow, but it's doing that in this as smart a way as possible.
I got to ask both of you this question, not to play the devil's advocate, but people might say, if you're looking for naturally high-achieving students to begin with, wouldn't they have succeeded anyway in life without a program like this?
You're right that that's something that people ask us a lot. And one stat that I point to is only 16% of students who are like high jump students, who do really well academically and whose families are in the lowest amount of money that they have for their family needs, those students only enroll in our top colleges and universities at a rate of 16%. If we had a true meritocracy in the country where it was more evenly accorded in terms of how well you do, that would be 100%. In High Jump's case, our alums enroll in those same top colleges and universities at a rate of 56%. So we do know that investing in young people in the middle grades helps propel them on a whole different trajectory.
I think really the fact of the matter is, irrespective of how smart you are and how talented you are, nobody can get to where they want to get alone. Right, that's just the fact of the matter. You hear it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to educate anybody, right? And it just happens that folks with limited economic means maybe are at a disadvantage of getting that help that others may be able to get. So we all need a little help getting from where we are to where we want to go. And High Jump was that for me, and it continues to be that for hundreds of other students.
I have another general question for families out there who may not be able to participate in High Jump. And with so many questions right now about public education, right? The testing, the tracking of kids, not just in the city, but in the suburbs as well. What's your advice for parents in being the best advocate, for their child and for their education?
Right. Well, I think part of being a best advocate is be there as much as possible and be present in your child's education. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go to school every day, but it means that every teacher should know that you're really concerned as a parent for what's best for your child, and that it's not just your own child. I think one of the fundamental tenets of High Jump is all of these kids are our kids.
I think it's important not to put the burden of educating our children on the schools, right? Schools are a partner with parents to educate children. Parents have a role to play, grandparents have a role to play, next door neighbors have a role to play. I think we all as a community have a role to play in educating our children.
Thank you all for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Continue success with the program. And that does it for Newsviews for you this morning. If you would like to know more about High Jump, you can go to our website at abc7chicago.com. We hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Now let's go back to the news desk.